All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome to this Algorand Community Town Hall. My name is Michael Jordan. I'm the Ecosystem Support Lead at Algorand Foundation. Today, I'm happy to be joined with the legendary John Woods, CTO, who will give us an overview of staking rewards, how we got here, how it works from a technical side. Then the infamous Fred Esante will educate us on various staking reward platforms and options within the Algorand ecosystem. And then finally, the incredible Marc from marketing, the CMO, will present a new marketing campaign. So in the second half of this call, we'll open it up to the community members who have any questions on staking. All right, John, can you get us started?
Absolutely. Hello, friends. It's John, the CTO at the foundation, and very excited about what we've put together as a team on this. I'm going to walk you through the deck that I gave, or that I presented rather, over in Bangkok only a couple of days ago. And then we can dive into some more detailed questions at the end. And also, I'll try to make sure that what I include here has a bit more detail, because I know that folks listening will be part of the ecosystem for a long time, and so they'll have a more nuanced understanding of what we're discussing. So big and juicy, this is how you cook up great steak. So to open, just talking a little bit about what we've achieved in 2024. There's been so much change to Algorand. It's really been a radical transition. The network is in better shape than ever. So talking through some of the some of the things we did at the start of the year. First, we started off with the Sicilian defense, bringing dynamic round times to Algorand. And this boosted the transaction per second capability to around 10,000. By the way, for folks out there who say, hey, we're at 2.8 seconds or so, it bobs up and down by design. That's what the dynamic and dynamic lambda is. But folks say, hey, can we go lower? We absolutely can. The parameters that we're currently using that yield a 2.8 second block time are quite conservative. But we wanted to be conservative because it's better to be careful rather than sorry. But we can definitely improve block time even further, yielding a higher TPS count when we need it. We moved on then to AlgoKit 2.0, which brought, I guess, notably Python support. So semantically, syntactically regular Python, not some weird flavor of it, just regular Python. And this has opened up development on the network to so many people, from students to all of the people working in AI, of course. And it means that the cost to build an app on Algorand, to bring it into your development stack, to make it part of your enterprise application, is way lower, because hiring Python devs is a lot cheaper than hiring dedicated blockchain devs. And then on top of that, your maintenance costs are also lower. And then we moved on to the smallest of the three, the non-archival relays. This was a kind of a bit of tidying up. We essentially ensured that the Algorand network is operating as efficiently as possible, making it so that relays didn't have to store the entire chain. So just improving the overall cost profile for running the infrastructure on the network. Now, what I want to talk about, of course, today is consensus incentivization, or staking reward, as marketing have branded it, and also a little bit on peer-to-peer. So if we jump into the next slide, I want to just highlight that staking rewards and peer-to-peer go hand in hand, but they're both a drive towards maximizing the decentralization of Algorand. And as I said in Bangkok, if you are building with blockchain and you're using a chain that's not actually decentralized and it's just decentralization theater, and I think we know there's plenty of chains out there that are like that, you're wasting your time. And so we want to put our money where our mouth is. And what we're doing here is ensuring that Algorand is maximally decentralized. And so people who include Algorand in their tech stack are getting meaningful benefit from it. And to do that, we got to make sure it's fully decentralized. And so there's two steps to that. Number one, staking rewards, which is, of course, the star of the show here today. But also to say, after we introduce staking rewards and the number of nodes explodes on the network, as of course it already is happening, and the number of people running consensus is higher than ever before, that is the perfect landscape to drop peer-to-peer. And peer-to-peer, of course, addresses Justin Bonds' biggest concern with Algorand, which is these semi-permissioned, as he calls them, relays. And so no longer will you need to rely on relays for data propagation in the network, and we'll transition to a full peer-to-peer network topology. And so I can't wait to hear what the criticism is then. Okay, jumping into staking rewards, we want them to be easy and accessible. So I'm going to show you how it is. Next slide, please, Mark. Thank you. So we think staking is better on Algorand. Okay, and there's 5 reasons why. Number 1, we have low hardware requirements. You want to run a Solana node, you need to hire a major data center to do it. Number 2, you get the rewards in real time, right? So if you win, if you get a block, you'll get paid straight away within 2.8 seconds. 3, we've got no slashing, so there's no risk to losing your funds if your node doesn't operate correctly. And so this is an important one, so people don't have to be highly concerned about losing money. And number 4, we have no lockups. And of course, you'll see on some networks when you're staking, you got to lock up your tokens for some period. We don't have that. You can move your tokens at any time. And in fact, it's safe to do so. If you register, as an example, 50,000 algo as an example to execute consensus, and you want to spend 30,000 the next day, you can do that. And the other 20,000 will sit there whirring away, still executing as part of consensus. You don't have to do anything other than spend your funds as you need to. And then finally, number 5, we have a great terminal user interface. Now, I got a little bit of heat today on Twitter about this. Some people were like, oh, this is not so easy to use. We're developing it in open source and it's not ready yet. And so D13, he wrote back to some of the folks who were concerned about this. We're going to have binaries you can download, like an app you can download, and it will just run. It'll be a lot easier. So don't get scared. The version that you see right now is a development version. Okay, we'll hop forward and let's have a look at that. So here's the terminal user interface. This balances, I think, all the elements that's gonna make for a great consensus execution experience. This application is going to run. It'll run in a small window on your computer. You'll be able to manage the installation of the node, the updating of the node, so it'll tell you when a new version is there for you. It'll help you manage your keys, so you don't have to muck around plugging in your ledger into your computer. You can just scan a QR code with your Para wallet and set up your staking keys. And of course, it'll help you learn how successful you've been. So it'll show the blocks you've produced and it'll tell you when you have been successful in earning some rewards. So we think this is going to be great and we're going to have super good documentation with it. And if anyone is struggling, we'll jump on a call with them and give them one-to-one support. Okay, so next slide. It'll be out, by the way, in December, hopefully, when we launch this thing. Okay, this just a quick slide to explain that it takes about 15 minutes to get involved. You run the TUI application that I just showed. You register your keys, and then we have a little delay by design, by the way. There's a 320 round delay before your registered keys are active. And the reason we do that is for security, because we wanted to make sure that the VRF was as unpredictable as possible. And so there's some techie reasons why we do this, but within 15 minutes, you are ready to rock and roll. Okay, next slide. Okay, so I talked a little bit about why you want to get involved. We're a great network, 5 years up, 0 downtime, no failed transactions, no forks, 2.4 billion transactions processed to this day, and 43 million blocks. And we're seeing about 1 million monthly active users. So we're proven. And so if you're on another network and you're thinking, I want to try Algorand, it'd be great to try it. You don't have to worry. You can trust Algorand, right? You can come to the network and you'll be able to rely on the fact that it's not some dodgy rug pull of a layer 1. It is a network that you can rely upon. Number 2, we are going to have quite large rewards, and I'll go into some of the details on that in the next slide. But in the initial term, the reward that will be paid is a combination of the fees from the block and a bonus that's been paid by the Algorand Foundation to make it as juicy as possible in the first few years. Okay, and so just to say on this, the percentage of fees that will be paid, you might say, why 50%? The answer is we have a dial and we can dial it from 0 to 100%. In the longer term, it'll just be the fees. And when we come to a time when it's just the fees, I think it will have to be closer to 100%. You might say, well, where would any other percent go? Why would you not have it at 100%? Answer, maybe you'd want to use some of those fees to pay for engineering. Maybe in 10 years' time, engineering has decentralized and it's no longer just Algorand Technologies, but rather the community, and you want to incentivize people to work on this, so maybe you might use some of the fees for that. But in general, we'll be dialing those fee percentages from 50 upwards as we move forward in time. And as the Algorand Foundation supplement or bonus drops off. And it does drop off over a few years. And then number 3, we're not changing the supply. Okay, so this money is coming from the Algorand Foundation treasury. It's not being inflated, or we're not adding any kind of inflationary mechanism. And the bonus rewards are committed for 2 years, and they decay a bit like the drop off in Bitcoin. They decay over time, about 1% every million blocks. Okay, and then last slide from me, just to talk through how this might look, right? Because people are, of course, saying, well, how much will I earn for having an algo, 100 algo, 1,000 algo, a million algo? So we take a model where we have 100 algo as an example stake, obviously very tiny. The total online stake, and of course, depending on how many people online, it changes the rewards. So we're targeting around 15 to 20% of the supply being engaged in consensus. So that here we have about 1.7 billion, so 17% of the supply online and active, with a block reward of a tiny amount, right? Here we have 0.025 algo. Obviously, that's less than a cent. We have 50 transactions in this block with the tiny fee of 0.001 algo, and of course, with a 50% dial on how much fees go to the block producer, that is 0.025 algo. And maybe we might want to look over time if transaction volume doesn't increase at increasing fees. But again, that'll have to be done with proper research and proper community consultation. The Algorand Foundation's bonus of 10 algo at launch, it will drop off. In the first year, it's going to be like 10, 9.999, 9.998, this kind of stuff. But it'll stay high for the first couple of years. And then the block time, sitting around 2.8 seconds currently, that would yield a reward on a 100 algo stake of 6.6 algo. So essentially, around 6.5 to 7% return on your algo. And so that's a look at how we expect this to be for users. And now I'm going to hand over to Fred, who's going to talk through some of the options you have to get involved.
Fred, you're muted, Fred. We still can't hear you.
I'll sing a little song while we're waiting for Fred. Do 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 do. You know what I really used to love, Mike, was the Cisco hold music. That was my favorite when I used to work in Citibank.
Oh, yes. It gets stuck in your head. It's so catchy.
It's so catchy.
Yes.
I mean, you miss an opportunity. You miss an opportunity here, John. Like, you just singing is pretty good.
Yeah. I'd like to tell everyone as well, a quick announcement. I got my new MacBook, so yay me. That's exciting. My M4 arrived. Yeah. It's very good. Very happy with it. Super excited.
You guys hear?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hey, Fred. Yes.
All right. So first of all, true apologies for that. It worked perfectly when we were testing. I didn't press a single button. So I don't know what happened, but I'm glad to be here. So hey, Algo fam. It's a pleasure to be here today. John, thanks for the all the information you shared that time. It was great. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Fred Esante, and I work here with Michael Jordan in the ecosystem team at the Algorand Foundation. And now we're going to cover very quickly all the great options that you're going to have to pick and choose for you to participate, in the consensus program, and of course be eligible for the staking rewards. So we basically have 4 major options that you can choose from. So you can go from solo staking, which is basically what John just mentioned, which it's the most self-sovereign, self-custodial option in which you run your own node. So you have to be tech savvy for that. If you don't know how the computers work, you probably shouldn't be doing this option. But yes, if you go for the solo staking option, you maintain liquidity at all times. The rewards are going to accrue in real time. So basically, as you propose in your block, your rewards are deposited into your account. You pay no service fees because, again, you're doing this the self-custodial way by interacting directly with the protocol. But for this, of course, there are some limitations, right? As voted by the community in the governance program, there is going to be a floor, a minimum stake of 30,000 algos for you to be eligible to participate in consensus and receive those rewards. And there's also, an upper limit, a ceiling of 17 million algos for you to be eligible to receive those rewards. And as John mentioned, there are some considerations that you must keep in mind when choosing your computer. Algorand is, of course, very accessible, very low hardware requirements, but there's still requirements. There's stuff that you have to pay attention to. So that's option number one. If running a node and doing all the techy and geeky thing stuff is not your thing, then you have another 3 great options to choose from. The second option, which is basically liquid staking and participating in the DeFi ecosystem. So liquid staking is truly a DeFi solution, decentralized finance, where you can stake your algo, basically no minimum. You can start with just a few algos, and then you receive an LST, a liquid staking token, which is basically just a tokenized representation of the stake that you just committed. And that LST allows you to continue to be able to participate in the DeFi ecosystem, join liquidity pools, lending markets, do all the great stuff that you're used to in DeFi. The LSTs allow you to continue to do that. The other advantage is that the rewards are accrued in real time. So as the account that holds the algos for your LST is proposing new blocks, your rewards are going up at the same time. You can also unstake at any time. There is no limits, there's no lockups or anything else. But of course, given it's a third-party solution, you're going to incur into service fees. The third option that you have to consider are staking pools. So staking pools, in some ways, they're kind of similar to liquid staking in a way that you can stake your algo. There are no minimum stakes, and I put a little asterisk in there is because pools are going to be decentralized. So every pool is going to have their own configurations, which means the service fees, the minimum algos for entry, etc., all of the good stuff. But again, there's going to be so many options that I'm sure you're going to be able to find one that suits your needs. You have very frequent but not real-time reward accrual. That's again one of the parameters that the staking pool operators are going to configure. Basically, how often the payouts are going to be paid to the users. It's most likely going to be super frequent, but again, a decision of the pool master. You can also unstake at any time, and as I mentioned, you're going to incur in service fees as well. And then the fourth major option that you're going to have is delegated staking. So in delegated staking is a very interesting solution that also leverages one of the many incredible ways that the Algorand protocol is built, is that you can delegate the voting power of your account, but while at the same time that you maintain your liquidity. So the algos never leave your account, but you're still participating in consensus. You're just delegating the voting power to somebody that's running a node on your behalf. For this, you also need a minimum of 30,000 algos to be able to participate in consensus and be rewarded for doing so. The rewards accrue in real time. As you propose a block, you get the rewards. And of course, given it's also a third-party service, you're going to incur into some service fees. And then, just to paint a better picture of the different solutions that you're going to be able to do in each one of these 4 sectors, Marc, if you can please go to the next slide. Thank you. So this slide shows the main options that have already been, publicized by the dApps of the solutions that you're going to have. This is a comprehensive but not exhaustive slide. There's more to come. But basically, on the solo staking, as John was mentioning, you have the Hack TUI, which is the terminal user interface in which you set up your own node, you make all the configurations yourself, and then you're good to go once you sync to the network and start voting on blocks. Aside from Hack TUI, there's also some other one-click node solutions that are community-built and community-driven that you can opt to if that is your inclination. On the DeFi world and liquid staking, then we have a few interesting options. As I just mentioned in the previous slide, we have 3 liquid staking tokens confirmed. So Tinyman, Fox Finance, and Compax will all be launching their own liquid staking tokens. For this, you have Pact, which is one of the leading DEXs, decentralized exchanges here in the Algorand ecosystem, and they're going to have a very interesting product in which some liquidity pools that have algos as one of the assets will be incentivized and participate in consensus. So just by being a liquidity provider in those pools, you'll also be able to receive the consensus rewards and the staking rewards. And there's more to come on the DeFi and liquid staking to be announced soon. On the staking pools, again, you can join with basically any algo amount, and the main provider is going to be Ready Pooling, a great solution built by the fantastic team at Transaction Lab. It's already up and running on FNet, so you can go ahead and get started and test things out if you want. And then the last option, but certainly not least, is the delegated staking, which I mentioned, in which you maintain liquidity in your account at all times, but you delegate the voting power of that account. And this service will be offered by Valar, formerly known as Igor Protect, the winner of our Change the Game hackathon and prominent builders in our ecosystem in the last few months. So again, these are great options. There's a lot more stuff that's coming. A few other solutions will be announced in the upcoming weeks. So AlgoFam, you have a tough choice to make while trying to pick amongst many great solutions. If you have any questions about any of these four major areas and all the different solutions, just let us know in the chat, and then MJ, myself, and everybody else will get to answer them. Marc, over to you, I think.
Wonderful. So thank you, Fred. And so, yes, just for people that don't know me, I'm Marc. I'm the CMO at the foundation. And I wanted to talk to you about the upcoming Algorand campaign, as we call it. And so just to do a little recap before we go into the details, when I was meeting with a lot of you at the Cypher, I was basically talking about our marketing strategy for the year. And I was representing the marketing strategy as a house. And the house has multiple components to it. It had the foundation, and the foundation is all about like data and fixing the data. And we had this big project to make sure that the Algorand is available on most of the analytics platforms. And as you've probably seen, this morning, Nansen went live with Algorand's data analytics dashboard. So we're very excited about that. Foundation-wise, we've done a lot of other things. We've launched a new website. We fixed our Wikipedia page, and many more things are coming in kind of that layer of marketing activities. Users is, of course, a big component of our marketing strategy. And as you know, we've launched Coinbase Quest and had quite a bit of success in doing so, with more than 100,000 new users downloading the Para wallet and engaging with our DeFi ecosystem. So we're very excited about the results of that initiative. Developers, of course, is an ongoing priority for us, and I'll talk a lot more about that in a second. And of course, community as well, where community we continue to engage, as closely as we possibly can with AlgoFam and with everybody here on the call. But we also want to make sure we expand our community, we grow our community, and we reach out beyond our own kind of AlgoFam community as well. And so expect us to see a lot more, specifically with KOLs, as a strategy to kind of expand our reach beyond our existing community. Expect a lot more about that in the next coming months. And then finally is the brand. And so this is what I'm going to talk about more. So as you know, at the Cypher, we launched kind of our new brand, refreshed our logo, refreshed our colors, launched a new website. And so I was talking then about the fact that we wanted to launch a big kind of awareness campaign. And that's really what I want to talk to you about now. And so we're very excited about launching this campaign starting this week. And so let's go through details of that. And so here's where it basically started. So we wanted to do an awareness campaign to talk about all the amazing things that Algorand can do and Algorand projects can do. And it was it's designed as a campaign that will convince people that Algorand is really all about real world scale. And we have the proof points, right? We have the projects, we have it's not just hype. We have all of the existing projects that are scaling as we speak today to kind of real world scale. And so that's really what we want to focus on. That's really what we want to show. And the whole goal of the campaign is to really attract more users, more developers, and increase our community, get more entrepreneurs, get more enterprise customers into our ecosystem. So let's go into the details. So as I mentioned, we really lead the way in real world utility and groundbreaking solutions that drive meaningful impact, right? And so that's really what we want to basically showcase. We want to showcase what the blockchain can do, and specifically what the Algorand can do. And so the campaign strategy is to really bring the blockchain's full potential to life and do it in a very kind of entertaining, informative way. And so, when we first started talking to developers after we launched Python, right, we started talking about, hey, now, we have native Python available on blockchain. And what we realized is that a lot of these Python developers, although they love the idea that native Python is available on blockchain, what they're struggling with is like, okay, what can I do with this? Like, how can I now integrate blockchain into my life and into the products that we're building? And so we realized that there is a component missing, which is an educational component, a component that is driven by use cases. And so rather than just focusing on the technology itself, and we all know that we have great technology, but beyond the technology, we have to focus on the use cases that a blockchain enables and make sure that people understand that these use cases run best on the Algorand blockchain. And so that's the whole strategy of the campaign. It's like, it's targeting developers, it's targeting entrepreneurs, it's targeting enterprise customers and our broader community, but it's basically telling the story of Algorand and real world scale and the use cases that are uniquely possible on a blockchain and specifically on Algorand. That's kind of the campaign strategy. And so very simply, when people ask, can a blockchain do that? We know that Algorand can. And that is the whole kind of like setup of this campaign. So it allows us to talk about a lot of things, like, for instance, payments, right? Algorand can send payments here, there, and everywhere. Can the blockchain do that? Well, Algorand can, right? We can talk about tokenization, right? Algorand can turn the in real life into extremely online. Can the blockchain do that? Well, Algorand can. Right, we can talk about identity, right? So I can go on and on and on. So you can talk about any of the use cases that a blockchain enables and put this in the format of, can the blockchain do that? Algorand can. We can talk about technology, right? We can talk about staking, right? With Algorand, you can have your stake and eat it too. Can a blockchain do that? Well, Algorand can. So this is kind of a very flexible kind of messaging framework that we've created that allows us to talk about all the use cases that a blockchain enables, but also talk about the differentiation that Algorand brings and the technology differentiation in particular that Algorand brings. Instant finality, can a blockchain do that? Well, Algorand can. Okay, so how are we basically bringing this to life? So we're going to create a very visual campaign. And so we're basically using collage as a medium to kind of bring this world of Algorand to life. And so you'll see this is going to feel very, very fresh. And it's not going to look geeky. It's going to look like more real world. We're bringing real world elements with like more virtual elements into this kind of. So that's an example of that. That's an example of payments, right? So we create this collage, this beautiful collage that shows people how, with an Algorand blockchain, you can make payments everywhere. Right, so this is one example. We'll have many of these vignettes touching on each one of these particular use cases. Again, I just loved it. So, how is this kicking off? Well, actually, it's kicking off this week at DEF CON, and just for fun, we kind of renamed DEF CON to DEF CAN. And so you'll start seeing posters appear everywhere at DEF CON that introduces this idea. And again, this idea that this is not about hype. This is not about the things that could or should, but it's about the things that can. And specifically and uniquely, the things that Algorand can do. And so these posters will start showing up at DEF CON. And of course, in addition to these posters, as some of you have already noticed, right, in addition to the posters themselves, what you also will see is physical cans appearing at DEF CON. There you go. And here are the cans. Algorand can, because of course Algorand can obviously needs to be can. It's kind of funny because when we announced the community call last week, we had a little Algorand can somewhere in there. And of course, some of our community members picked up on it and started producing these cans, not knowing probably that this was going to be a core element of our campaign. And so we're going to have a lot of fun with that. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. We can actually create cans that are specifically and unique to our ecosystem. Imagine a Lofty can, right? Imagine a Travel X can. Or how about a Care can? Or a Finboot can, right? So each one of our projects should have their own can that is custom organized. And it's all relating back to this idea that Algorand can. And we are the blockchain that actually delivers at real world scale. Okay, so what else? So this campaign is going to kick off in a higher gear starting next week. We're going to do a takeover of the Brave browser starting on Monday. We'll be on Stack Overflow, DApp Radar. But we want to reach, as I said, we want to reach not just beyond our community to the broader crypto audience, but we want to reach beyond the crypto audience and go towards Bloomberg and Forbes and reach entrepreneurs and reach enterprise customers as well. So you'll see these ads start appearing on Bloomberg and Forbes as well very shortly. Together with all of this, one thing we haven't talked about yet is like, where do these ads drive people to? And so we've created a new campaign website, and it's live right now. You can look it up. It's called canablockchaindoThat.com. So type in URL, canablockchaindoThat.com, and you'll see a completely new campaign website that talks about all of the receipts that Algorand has that showcases that we are operating at real world scale. So a number of our key projects are featured on that site, and illustrating the use cases of what a blockchain can be used for uniquely. And we're very, very excited about that. So some of the videos that you've seen on Solutions That Scale are integrated into this website, but there's many, many more case studies in there that don't necessarily come with a video, that are all basically featured on that website, and basically shows developers, shows entrepreneurs, shows enterprise customers what is it that you can do with a blockchain and what is unique about Algorand. And so we're very, very excited about that new campaign website, and you should check it out. Okay, so this is what's going to happen in November. This gives you an idea of all the activities that are happening with this campaign between now and the end of the month. As I said, we're kind of like slow launching it at DEF CON this week. We're cranking up the noise next week with the Brave integration and some other integrations. And so this campaign will continue to run for a couple of months until around mid-March. And so it'll go into multiple bursts. I think we'll start like folding in Forbes and Bloomberg in early December. And then we'll probably pause a little bit over Christmas and New Year, and then start again in January, and then it'll run throughout until the end of February, early March. So that's the overall view of the campaign. We're super excited about it. There's going to be a lot more than what I just talked about. There's going to be a whole kind of a social activation that we haven't mentioned here. As I said, we're engaging very closely with KOLs as well, and you'll see more of that happening as well. And this is also going to be integrated into the broader kind of staking rewards campaign that is hitting off in early December. So this is a very quick snapshot of what to expect. We're very excited about it. Of course, happy to answer any questions with it. And make sure to check out canablockchaindoThat.com, because that's where you find all the receipts of what a real blockchain that operates at real world scale can do. And that's it for marketing.
Thanks, Mark. That's incredible. Have you seen all the community making their own cans? I've seen cans popping up all sorts of places. I've even created my own can, Algorand Can Stake.
That's great. That's great. Yes. So, of course, everybody could just start going crazy and create their own cans. Absolutely.
Cheers.
Mark, what's in the can, the default cans that we have at DevCon?
Water.
Oh.
Water, yes.
All right. So at this point,
I'm sorry to disappoint you, John.
So at this point, we're going to open it up for the community. If you have any questions at all, you can type your question in the chat or raise your hand and come on stage. Any questions at all about staking or the new marketing campaign?
The saucier the better as well. I like hot questions. I want something that really puts us over the fire. Come on, give me something good.
John, I see some questions here in the questions tab, and I think one of them is directed to you from Zach, and he asks, can TUI be used to monitor other nodes that you personally aren't running yourself? M-Algo, X-Algo, T-Algo, C-Algo node, for example.
Not in its current form, I don't think. I'd have to check the API that's available on those. I'm not familiar with them, but it could be modified to do so, and everything is completely open source. So I suspect it would be a minor modification. We were even thinking that in the earlier days, when we were kind of fleshing this thing out, like what does it look like? What can it do? We wanted to have it be really high quality and get it out on time rather than have it be too wide in terms of features. But one of the things we were thinking about early was like, point it at a remote node, like someone else's node, right? And you can like point it at that with the right API token or password, and it will be able to control someone else's node on their behalf. And so we're going to extend this thing past version 1.0 when we initially release. But in the early days, it's just a local Algorand node that it will be downloaded, run, and monitored, and then help you with your participation keys. But yeah, we can take it to different places and have it do more, because it's a great design. And it also leverages a thing called Bubble Tea by Charm, which is a wonderful open source library for building reactive, beautiful terminal-based apps.
Awesome. Thanks, John. All right, I see a few more questions popping in. I think I can take the next one, which comes from Adam. And Adam asks, currently, Austin's one-click node links to folks' finance escrows with Gialgo. I have heard rumors of Para making accessible through the wallet and Austin working on a solution to bypass the folks' finance account. Is this something we can expect when Algorand staking launches? So great question, Adam. Thank you. I cannot speak to Austin's own development roadmap, so you better check with him and the team and their Discord. However, Para is certainly working on different features to facilitate all things related to staking. They'll be sharing more information very soon. Stay tuned to their socials and follow them if you're not doing so already. Thanks.
All right, I see another question from J-Hole asking about the Brave integration. Is it strictly advertising, or is Algorand going to be integrated somehow?
It is advertising. It is an advertising, but we'll do an X Space with Brave as well early next week.
I see. I can see the questions too now. I see someone's asking. They're asking me, "Hey, I said a Raspberry Pi 5 the other day, but it's only got 8 gigs RAM instead of 16. Is it really possible or not?" The answer is yes, it is possible. The requirements that we put out there are a bit like video games in the 90s, right? They're idealistic. You can run Doom on a 386 or a 486. You don't need a Pentium, and so look. The higher the the spec of the machine, of course, the more performant it will be. And so if you're running it on a Pi 5, you're probably going to need to have nothing else running on that Pi 5 and dedicate the machine directly to it. But it will run on a Pi 5 with 8 gigs of RAM. And we say like a gig link, right? We say like you need a gigabit of internet connectivity, but really you don't. It's probably around 200 megabits, 150 megabits right now. But yeah, we don't want to. We want to, recommend a strong machine so that people don't get upset if they miss a block or something like that. But yeah, you'll be fine on a Pi 5. And personally, I've bought the M4 Mac Mini. It's probably like, I don't know what it starts at, like $1,000, which is not like super cheap, but it's not bananas expensive. And that is a perfect machine for it, right? Because it's got 16 gigs, it's got plenty of cores, it's super fast, and we'll have an ARM-based release for the Apple Silicon based machines. And so my personal choice is a Mac Mini, but yeah, you can get away with less than that.
I see David asking, John, how will Algorand staking compare to Cardano staking?
So it's actually quite different. And so I know both, of course, because I've been involved with both. Cardano staking pays out every kind of 10 days or so. You have these epochs, and it basically pays your rewards for what you achieved in the previous epoch and the next epoch, and it's quite complicated. And so we'll be paying out in real time. So as you get a block, you'll get paid straight away. So that's one difference. Another difference is in the immediate term, of course, as I shared some of the numbers, we will have quite an attractive staking rewards return. So somewhere around 6.5–7%, and that's higher than most networks out there. Also, in Cardano, of course, your only option is to delegate to a staking pool, because by design, the way it works is that you delegate your ADA to a pool that's run by a single individual. Whereas we have many more options, from peer-to-peer staking that Fred mentioned, all the way to things like liquid staking tokens that Fred mentioned, and then to running your own node, as I mentioned. And by the way, quick shout out. Someone asked me the other day, is it possible to stake but delegate the reward to someone else? So maybe I want to stake on behalf of, I don't know, a charity or something. I said no initially because it's not built into the protocol, but it turns out if you use ready staking pools, you can achieve this. Deploy your own pool, set yourself as the only staker in that pool, and then you can delegate, you can set the payment address to be whoever you want. So using ready staking peer-to-peer pools, you'll be able to delegate your rewards. So yeah, there's quite a few differences between Cardano and Algorand, and I think the experience will be first class on Algorand because we've had the benefit of looking at how other networks do it, and we made sure that we addressed any pain points in our implementation.
Algorand can. Fred,
Yes.
I see it.
Maybe I'll pick one question here. How will the marketing drive be measured in terms of success? Is there any measurable KPI outputs that we hope to achieve? I think it's a very good question. So I think there's a number of things that we're going to be looking for. One is, does our share of voice increase? In other words, like, are we becoming more part of like the crypto zeitgeist? Are we being talked about more? Are we more part of kind of like what's going on in the crypto zeitgeist? That's one element. That's kind of more of an awareness kind of related kind of metric, if you want. Are we part of the conversation? So that's one. Second thing is, we have 3 very specific funnels that we've set up. There's an entrepreneur's funnel, right? If you're basically an entrepreneur and you're interested in learning more about Algorand, right? We have a gated page where you go to, where we ask people to fill out a short form, and then they'll get our, entrepreneur kind of research report that they can download. And so we'll be tracking the number of like incoming requests on the entrepreneur side. We have the same type of funnel set up for like more enterprise opportunities. So if you're an enterprise customer and you're looking at like deploying, a blockchain for sustainability or for supply chain or for payments or what have you, right? We have another gated piece of content that is related to how the ROI on Algorand is much higher than it is on any other chain. And so again, people fill out a little form, they get access to the content, we can track the form, we can see what's coming in terms of activity. That's the second one. And then the third funnel is, of course, our developer funnel. And so that is directly driving to the AlgoKit download page. And so we're going to be tracking the downloads to the AlgoKit download page. So those are some of the metrics that we're looking into. And these are the kind of like dedicated funnels, marketing funnels, if you want, that we've built to really optimize the campaign around those.
I see a couple of questions I can maybe go through. On Algo being supported by Coinbase in terms of staking, Devin Murthy, who looks after our ecosystem access, is talking with all of the exchanges. Of course, we require those guys, whether it's Kraken, Binance, or Coinbase, whatever, to do implementation on their side to support it. We've had a lot of interest. It may be the case that it takes a little bit longer for some of the exchanges to support it, and it may not be ready for December's go live. But we are talking to them all actively, and we'll try to get as many of them as involved as possible, because of course it opens it up. In general, of course, I would say you shouldn't keep your money on an exchange or your cryptocurrency on an exchange. It's a bad idea. And you will have a better return running a node yourself or using something like Ready. But yeah, we do want to be on these exchanges, and we are speaking with them. And one other question on the 2025 roadmap, maybe I'll take that one too. So good question. There's a lot that we did in 2024. Like, we really pushed hard. And I think we're also, what you didn't see in the 2024 roadmap, of course, is our work on AlgoKit 3, which is going to be bringing TypeScript support, and that's going to be really a killer thing as well. But I think 2025, we'll have kind of fixed a lot of stuff. And so our focus then will probably be more around post-quantum and looking at research into post-quantum VRF and post-quantum signature schemes to join Falcon signatures, which currently protect the history of the chain. But if anyone has any suggestions and they want to help us build out the roadmap, feel free to contact me, and I'm happy to chat it through with you.
I see another question, probably for Fred. Will all of these ecosystem platforms support US-based users?
Great question. Thanks for sending it along, MJ. Very complicated question. Each company has different operating rules based on where they are incorporated. So I highly suggest that you just reach out, socials, Discord, Telegram, whatever it is, to the specific product that you're thinking about using and asking them directly. It's a complicated landscape out there. You're going to get the best answer directly from each product.
I can answer one about IP addresses so if someone says, will solo staking, so vanilla nodes, be able to run multiple machines from the same IP? I think you mean kind of like multiple instances of a node from the same kind of natted, maybe network address translated IP. yes, you should be able to. I don't think there's a need for proper. I think once you port forward and you run the node on different ports, I think it should be absolutely fine to use kind of a NATed IP address. But if anyone, by the way, has kind of low level questions like that they're like, oh, I'm not so sure about it, reach out to DevRel, reach out to me. We'll get you the answers, and we'll make sure that we give you a solution that works for your situation.
All right, thank you. Are there any other questions? I'm scrolling through trying to see if we didn't.
Yeah, I can answer a couple more. On the Coinbase index fund, I was surprised by that. I didn't see that coming. Maybe someone else knew at the foundation, but I didn't know about that. In terms of like how much algo will be in it, I read on their press release they have like a weighting. So all the assets in the top 50 have a weighting, and I can't remember what algos is, but whatever the fund is, it's weighted by a certain percentage. And then I will answer just on NIST regarding the deprecation of EDDSA in 10 years. Yes, I did see that. I was surprised to see NIST say that by 2035 they want to deprecate Edwards 25519 and EDDSA generally. It's obviously state of the art. So the elliptic curve signature scheme that we use for transactions on Algorand is state of the art. It doesn't get any better, in my professional opinion. I think that it's unlikely that there will be a quantum machine that has enough error correcting qubits, error correcting logical qubits in superposition in order to execute Shors at the scale required to solve the discrete log arbitrarily. But maybe they know something I don't. But yeah, surprised. I think EDDSA will still be strong in 10 years personally. And we should be ready by then, right? A decade is a long time. And if we're not ready by then, we deserve to lose. So I think it's going to be fine.
Someone asked, when can they expect staking rewards to go live? December, right?
Yeah. So this is one I like to keep the pressure on things. I like to kind of like give dates and hope that we make them. And so we're still pushing for early December. We have a process though, right? Before we release any consensus change. And consensus incentives or staking rewards, staking rewards, because that's what we're branding it as. Staking rewards are a consensus upgrade to the Algorand protocol. And so just like every other consensus upgrade that we've ever done, where we added new opcodes or new instructions to the AVM, there's a process. And what is that process? It's, betanet or devnet, testnet, and then promotion to production or mainnet, but also spec updates and ensuring that the release that we cut is in line with the spec. And so there is a bit of operational logistics in order to release this stuff. We're still on target, but if we slip, it'll be by a couple of weeks, right? If we slip, it'll be after Christmas, but we're keeping the pressure on and we're hoping to get this out in December. Of course, we don't want to make a release like this on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve. So if we fail to make that our timeline of early December, it'll probably be early January, but it's not going to be any later than that.
Thank you so much. I saw a question. Will current node runners have to opt into this new system to get rewards, or is it automatic?
It's they'll have to opt in. So there's a different type of key reg to register for consensus. For staking rewards, and what you have to do is essentially execute another key reg, which opts you in to receive rewards. If folks didn't do that, you would still continue to execute consensus, as the foundation, by the way, will do. And so you just wouldn't receive any rewards. And so, yes, you will have to re-reg your key reg in order to get the rewards. And then just one more, because I just see it come in there from Vince. Aside from TypeScript support, what else will be in AlgoKit 3? It's a good question. There is a bunch of stuff. There's a whole lot around LoRa, around the app suite, around visual debugging, line-by-line debugging in production for both TypeScript and Python. And so, yeah, I would say that's the killer feature, like the visual debug, the line-by-line debug. Like you can like step over your code, like, and it all happens by magic. Like, the map between the high-level Python down to Teal, down to the bytecode, it's like you're debugging C in GCC, right? Or sorry, in GDB. Okay, it's like a GDB debug of C. It's like super, super great. And so it's all about debug. and allocate 4. Actually, I shouldn't say what that is because Marc will tell me I'm not allowed to ruin surprises. He'll want to do a show about that. So yeah, that's it. Okay, I see another one I can answer. Ledger devices, Stacks, Flex, connected through Pair will be able to consistently stake without signing. Yeah, you don't have to worry about this. So, like, I keep my algo on a ledger, and I keep that ledger in a safe, far away from my house. And so I don't want to have to go down to the safe every bloody time, right? So what do? I'm going to use it once to key reg, and then I don't have to touch it again until the key expires. And so it's kind of a one and done. You scan with Para using your ledger, and then you're set up then for the duration of the key reg. And also, I know that the ledger implementation is not great right now. It's fine for basic transactions, but it's not great for larger transactions where you're asked to go through a whole bunch of stuff. And it's also not great on the stacks, right? The new kind of like e-ink display thing or whatever that Ledger put out. We're working with them. We have support from their team now, and we have people working on this in engineering as we speak. And so we'll have a new version of the Ledger support coming out that's going to make stacks and the newer Ledger devices work really well. And is also going to make the overall experience more seamless because we don't want it to be a pain in the ass to use.
All right, removing friction for the win. Let's see. Does anyone have any other questions?
I can answer one more. Staking and governance. No, they're going to be separate. Is my understanding. Staking rewards are money you get or algo you get for helping secure the network. Governance will still exist, but it's not going to be a paid thing. It's going to be, hey, we all as algo holders still have the right to vote on the future of the protocol, but there's not going to be an active rewards program for that execution of governance. Now, it's still being figured out, and Adri, who does a great job on it, is going to talk to the community and propose the whole vision for how this is going to go. So I don't want to eat her lunch on that. She's going to come with that soon. But I think the vision is you get paid to secure the protocol. Over here, you still have governance, but it's ad hoc governance. I suspect when we need a referendum, we will have one, and people get to vote, but there's no reward for that. And of course, the reward has to come from somewhere. We don't have an inflationary supply, as Marc had in the slides. So, at the moment, the foundation is paying that governance reward, and it won't always have algo to do so. And so the governance reward really needs to go, I think.
Okay, so another question there about CoinMarketCap and the RWA listing. Let me take that one. So yes, we know that our work on fixed data is not done. So there's a number of other integrations that we're looking into. This is one. We're also looking at Artemis as one possible integration that would be great to achieve. And so yes, so we're looking into this. The challenge with RWA listings is that some of our projects, quite a few of our projects, actually care deeply about the privacy and the security of the information, and are not necessarily open to have that publicized transparently in an RWA website. And so we're working through that, and we're trying to figure out like who on our projects that are in the RWA space are willing to kind of participate in this, because we have a lot of those projects, but they have to be willing to kind of be integrated in the website for it to make sense. So that's one of the things that we're working through. But yes, it's definitely on our list of things that we're looking at.
Marc, is there going to be a dedicated Canva template or somewhere where Algorand community can make their own cans?
Yes. We're working on that as well. That'll be fun.
That's exciting. I keep seeing a lot of Robinhood questions, but that's not our conversation today.
Well, I think I've been pinged about that like 48 million times, so maybe I'll take that one because it's really annoying. It's great for Ada and HBAR, whoever else who's integrated with Robinhood. I'm sure they paid a lot of money for it. We, of course, are focusing, as I've said many times, on the accessibility, the adoption and awareness of Algorand. And so it is core to what we do. It's in our DNA. And so we're talking to everyone, and we're trying to make sure we have as many integrations as possible. We want to see it there too, of course, but it's got to make sense financially, and it's got to make sense from a deal point of view. And these things can sometimes take some time. And so it's not that we don't see this stuff and don't know and are not aware, but we are working as hard as we can to make sure we're integrated in as many places as possible.
Someone on Twitter really wants me to ask each one of you, how do you like your steak? How do you like to eat your steak? Rare, medium rare, well done.
Okay, I'll go first. I like rare, but I like it to be as warm as possible throughout. So I don't like when it's cold in the middle. But like I would say, in a great restaurant, rare, I usually have fillet rather than ribeye. And sauce wise, I like béarnaise, I like pepper, and I like porcini mushroom.
Nice, nice. I'm medium rare, and I just like it pure. No sauces to take away the taste of a great steak.
I second you, Mark. You know, a Brazilian has to love rare picanhas all the way, right? So that's how I roll. Nothing else.
I can't believe you guys ganging up on me with this like pure steak jive. What is that? Come on.
I love a rare
How about
steak.
you?
I love a rare steak, but I'm a sauce guy. So I love A1, Heinz 57, anything. Like if I go to a restaurant, there has to be sauce. I don't know, you know.
Thank you.
No. It has to be pure. It has to be pure.
MJ, you are correct.
Oh, well, I'm not seeing any other questions, and we're approaching time.
I'm going to look through. Yeah, I think we got to them all. I hope there's none left out. On the gamification, I don't know if we answered that. Like, are we going to try to make it easy for newbies? Absolutely. We're going to have our DevRel guys are going to have great content. We're going to have great docs. We're going to make it as easy as possible. I think that's everything.
Yep. And if anyone has any questions after the call, feel free to hit us up on Twitter, tag us, tag the Algorand Foundation. There's a Staking Rewards website you can visit. Email us. You know, we're pretty active, and I'll get you the answers that you need.
Yeah, and on that latest one that came in about university courses for students, you know, we a while ago we had this idea that we would create like a Udemy or Coursera led course with a dedicated instructor who was like, I wanted to be super charismatic and super fun to deliver great quality content in like this structured way. We ended up not doing it because we just I guess we focused on other things, and there's only so many things, like a handful of people. There's only a handful of people at the foundation, right? It's not like hundreds of people, and so we just didn't execute on it. And so I'm kind of glad we didn't, because our DevRel guys are working on this like killer new dev portal. Like, it's been in the works for months, and it's going to be amazing. And marketing and the rest of the team are going to be part of launching this. But we have something special coming, and it's going, I think, to blow away people when it comes to how easy it is to get up and running. So yeah, that's going to be coming soon.
All right. Well, if none of the team has anything else, thank you, John. Thanks, Mark. Thank you, Fred. And thank you, community, for showing up and asking all sorts of great questions and learning about the upcoming ad campaigns and Algorand staking rewards. So we'll see y'all soon.
Thanks,
Thank you,
MJ.
MJ. Thanks, all the fam. See you.